Enough is enough. These three words hold the weight of a lifetime struggle, a breaking point, and a call to action. They represent the moment when patience has been stretched to its limit, when the battle seems unending, and yet there is a shift. It's not just about giving up, it's about recognizing that human effort alone will never suffice. The battle is no longer just physical or emotional, it is spiritual. And that is where the divine steps in. We are talking about divine intervention, a powerful transformative force that only comes when everything else fails. When you've tried and tried, when you've prayed, worked, and fought, and yet the obstacles remain. That's when God says enough is enough. When human limitations meet divine power, that's when everything changes. In these critical moments, God's intervention does not simply shift circumstances, it redefines them. But what does it mean to be one of the chosen ones? These aren't just people who are selected randomly or by chance. The chosen ones are those who are called for a higher purpose. They have a mission to fulfill a destiny that is bigger than they could ever have imagined. It's not by accident that you are here, and it's not by coincidence that you are reading this now. You are being called to step into your divine purpose, to accept the responsibility that comes with it, and to embrace the divine intervention that is on the way. The road of the chosen ones is not paved with ease. It is marked by pain, hardship, and relentless testing. These individuals have been selected for a higher calling, yet the very nature of that calling demands that they endure the most challenging struggles life has to offer. Their journey is not one of simple triumphs, but of a relentless series of trials that will either break them or make them stronger. The chosen ones are not immune to hardship. They are meant to face it head-on, knowing that the greater their struggles, the greater their destiny. The physical toll on the chosen ones is severe. Their bodies seem to bear the weight of the world on their shoulders as they battle fatigue, illness, and exhaustion that feel almost unbearable. In the face of overwhelming tasks, they often push their limits beyond what seems possible, sacrificing their own well-being for the sake of their divine mission. Their bodies become battlegrounds marked by the scars of battles fought not only externally, but within themselves. They may battle physical illness, chronic pain, or mental fatigue that drains their strength. And yet in every moment they rise again, pushing through when their bodies beg them to rest. The chosen ones understand that their physical struggles are part of the preparation for the purpose that awaits them. It is only through enduring physical pain that they are strengthened for what lies ahead, but the emotional toll is perhaps even more crippling. The chosen ones often carry the emotional weight of the world. In times of isolation, they question themselves, wondering if their sacrifices are truly worth it. They battle feelings of loneliness and abandonment, even when surrounded by others. There are days when they feel utterly misunderstood, when their mission seems too difficult for others to comprehend. Friends and family may question their choices, doubt their path, or even criticize them for their faith and dedication to the greater purpose they are called to fulfill. The emotional burden can feel suffocating, as if the weight of the world rests on their shoulders alone. They carry grief, loss, and disappointment in ways that most will never understand. There are moments of deep sadness and confusion when the chosen ones question their own worth, their own strength, and even their faith. Yet in the midst of it all, they find something deeper within themselves, a strength born not from their own abilities, but from a faith that refuses to waver. However, the spiritual challenges they face are the most difficult to bear. The chosen ones are not just battling physical fatigue or emotional strain, they are in a battle for their very souls. The spiritual warfare they encounter is like nothing else. It is in the depths of spiritual darkness that they often find themselves questioning their purpose, their calling, and their connection to God. The more they pursue their divine mission, the more the enemy seeks to tear them down, to make them doubt the very reason they were chosen. It is in these moments of spiritual uncertainty that the chosen ones must cling to their faith like never before. They are tested, refined, and stretched beyond measure. God does not call them because they are perfect. He calls them because they are willing to be transformed. Their spiritual journey is one of refinement, where every struggle, every trial, and every hardship serves to purify them for the greatness that lies ahead. In these moments, the chosen ones are reminded that their power lies not in their own strength, but in their unwavering trust in God. Yet perhaps the most painful struggle of all is the feeling of being unseen. The chosen ones often face a world that seems indifferent to their suffering. While they are walking the most difficult journey of their lives, the world around them continues on as if nothing has changed. Their struggle goes unnoticed, their pain unacknowledged. The world looks at them with indifference, even as they bear the weight of a calling far greater than most can comprehend. They feel ignored, rejected, and even forsaken, as if no one truly sees what they are going through. This sense of invisibility is not only frustrating, but it can also lead to deep despair. Why continue if no one notices? Why fight if no one understands? This feeling of being misunderstood only adds to the weight they carry. The chosen ones often feel out of place in their own lives. Those around them, family, friends, colleagues, might fail to understand why they're making the sacrifices they are, or why they're following a path that seems so uncertain and difficult. When they share their struggles, they may be met with judgment or criticism rather than support and encouragement. The chosen ones often feel as though they are walking a path that no one else can see or understand. They are strangers in their own world, misunderstood by those they love and care about the most. And yet, it is in this very isolation that their faith is tested and their resolve is strengthened. For they know that the call on their lives is bigger than the opinions of others. They know that God sees them even when the world does not. Despite all these challenges, the physical toll, the emotional exhaustion, the spiritual warfare, and the feelings of being unseen or misunderstood, the chosen ones continue. They press forward because they know that their mission is not just for themselves, it is for a greater purpose. Their struggles are not in vain. They are the very things that will propel them into the destiny God has prepared for them. Every trial they face is shaping them, refining them, and preparing them for the moment when God's divine intervention will step in and turn everything around. Through every hardship, they are becoming who they were always meant to be: chosen, purposeful, and unstoppable. The world may not understand, but God does, and in the end, that is all that matters. There comes a time in every chosen one's journey when they reach their breaking point, a moment when all their strength has been exhausted and they can no longer move forward on their own. This is the moment of change, the defining point where everything shifts. The trials have become too overwhelming, the weight too heavy to bear alone. The dreams and hopes that once seemed clear are now clouded by uncertainty, and the once unshakable faith begins to feel fragile. The question becomes, how much longer can this go on? Enough is enough. It's not just a cry of frustration, it's a declaration of surrender and strength. The chosen ones have fought, they have endured, and they have stayed faithful through the storms. But now there is no more pretending. The battle is too great for their own efforts. This moment isn't a sign of weakness, it's the turning point, the crucial shift where the chosen ones stop fighting on their own and start invoking the power of divine intervention. The breaking point is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. In this moment, the chosen ones reach the limit of what they can carry, and the weight of the world is finally too much. It is at this very moment, when all hope seems lost, that they make the most important decision of all, to call for divine intervention. This isn't a request born of desperation. It is an acknowledgement that God alone has the power to change the course of their lives. The struggle has proven that human strength is insufficient for the mission ahead. And so they raise their voices to the heavens, asking for the hand of God to intervene in a way that only He can. Faith in these moments of desperation becomes the anchor that holds them steady. Psalm 34:17 says, "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles." This is the moment when faith is no longer theoretical or passive. It becomes active, raw, and real. It is in the desperation of the situation that faith takes on its true form. It is the last resort, the lifeline, the only hope left. And as they call out to God, their faith is strengthened not because their situation has immediately changed, but because they realize that they are no longer fighting alone. The power of God is about to intervene, and they trust that He is faithful to His promises. In this moment, the chosen ones shift from a passive endurance of their struggles to an active calling for help. They no longer wait in silence or passively accept the situation. They engage with heaven. They open their hearts fully, saying, "Lord, I can't do this anymore. I need you to move." This is the moment when the heavens respond, when the divine breaks through the noise of the world and begins to act on behalf of those who have chosen to trust in God's timing and intervention. Their cry is not unheard. In fact, it becomes the very catalyst for change. No longer do the chosen ones suffer in silence or feel as if they must carry the weight alone. In this moment of change, they tap into the divine power that was always available but has now been fully activated. Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." This is the promise their strength is renewed. The moment they call on God, they are no longer walking alone, and His intervention marks the beginning of their transformation. The transition from passive endurance to active calling for help is not just a change in action, it's a change in mindset. It's the moment the chosen ones stop relying on their own strength and open themselves fully to the power of God. This is the moment of divine intervention, the moment where everything shifts. When the chosen ones reach the breaking point, feeling as though they have been stretched beyond their limits, this is the moment when God's intervention breaks through. It is not a random or passive occurrence. Divine intervention is purposeful, direct, and always aligned with the divine will for those He has chosen. It is the powerful supernatural involvement of God in their lives, stepping into their struggle and changing their course in ways that mere human effort could never accomplish. It is a moment of profound significance, not just a fleeting moment of relief, but a turning point that reshapes everything that follows. The significance of divine intervention cannot be overstated. For the chosen ones, this is the moment when God not only hears their cries, but actively answers them. It is when they can no longer rely on their own strength, and they call upon God knowing that He is the only one who can turn things around. It is not about coincidence or luck. It is the result of God's direct involvement in the affairs of His chosen people. God answers their call because they are part of a divine plan. And His intervention isn't just a response to their need, but a declaration that His purpose for them is unstoppable. Psalm 121:2 declares, "My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." This is the core of divine intervention. It is not just help from someone who is distant or uninvolved, but from the Creator of the universe, the maker of heaven and earth. When God moves, His power is limitless, transcending all human understanding. In that moment, God doesn't just change the circumstances. He moves heaven and earth to ensure that His chosen people walk in victory. This intervention signifies the activation of divine power in their lives. It's not just about physical relief, it's about a spiritual and emotional transformation that equips them to move forward into their purpose with newfound strength and clarity. Divine intervention often comes with miraculous signs. When the chosen ones call out, they are not left waiting idly. God moves in ways that can only be explained by the supernatural. The miraculous is God's way of showing them that they are not alone, that He is with them, and that His plan for their lives is still in motion. These signs can take many forms. Perhaps it's an unexpected breakthrough in finances, a sudden door that opens when every other path seemed blocked, or the inexplicable healing of a sickness that medical professionals could not address. These signs are not random occurrences. They are intentional acts of God meant to confirm that His intervention is real and that His plan is unfolding exactly as it should. Mark 11:24 teaches, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, Believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. In these miraculous signs, the chosen ones see the tangible reality of God answering their prayers. The power of faith is manifest in these signs, and they serve to strengthen the faith of the chosen ones, confirming that God is indeed at work in their lives. Protection is another hallmark of divine intervention. Often the chosen ones are unaware of the dangers they face, of the spiritual, emotional, or physical threats that lurk unseen. But God's protection covers them, shielding them from harm. In Psalm 91:11, God promises, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." This divine protection goes beyond the visible realm. God surrounds his chosen, with his angels keeping them safe from unseen forces. Sometimes these moments of protection are felt in ways that can't be fully explained, but they are real, offering peace and security, even in the midst of uncertainty. It's in the unseen moments, the times when the chosen ones are unaware of how close they came to danger, that God's hand of protection is most evident. God shields them from spiritual and emotional attacks that would otherwise derail their mission. This protection gives them the strength to continue forward, knowing that they are never alone and that God is always guarding their path. But perhaps the most profound aspect of divine intervention is the transformation it brings. When God steps into a person's life, it is not just about changing their circumstances, it is about changing who they are. God's intervention does not just provide a temporary fix to the problem, it refines the chosen ones. Through his divine involvement, they are transformed into stronger, more resilient people, prepared to carry out the divine purpose they were called to fulfill. The transformation is not just physical, it is deeply spiritual and emotional. The struggles they have endured in the past are no longer defining them. They become the stepping stones that lead to their destiny. The hardship they've faced is now seen as a part of the process that God used to refine and strengthen their character, building them into the people they need to be for what lies ahead. Through divine intervention, victory emerges from what once seemed like an unending battle. The chosen ones who were once weighed down by their circumstances now stand tall in the victory that God has brought them. 1 Corinthians 15:57 tells us, "But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." From hardship to victory, this is the trajectory of the chosen ones. The struggles they faced were not in vain. They were preparations for the victory that God had in store for them. It is in faith that they see the impossible made possible, and in God's intervention that they experience a victory that goes beyond what they could have imagined. Faith is the vehicle that drives them through every obstacle, and it is through faith that they see the miraculous unfold. In this transformation, the chosen ones are reminded that they are not the same person they were before. The victory they experience is not just a one-time event. It is a testimony to God's faithfulness, his power, and his ability to transform the lives of his chosen people. The victory they walk in is not only for them, it is for the world to see a testimony of what God can do when his chosen people call on his name and trust in his timing. The chosen ones are no longer walking in defeat. They are walking in the victory that God has won for them, and this victory is a reflection of the unshakable power of God's divine intervention. The chosen ones are not just people who have been called for a higher purpose. They are living examples of God's divine plan unfolding in real time. Their journey is a testament to the power of faith, the strength of resilience, and the profound transformation that comes when one chooses to walk in obedience to God's call. When divine intervention takes place in their lives, it is not just about the immediate relief from hardship. It is about shifting their entire perspective on life on purpose and on God's unwavering love and faithfulness. Understanding the significance of the chosen one's journey is the first crucial lesson that emerges from divine intervention. Their path is one of constant growth, where each challenge and struggle serves to refine them and bring them closer to the person God has always intended for them to be. The divine calling placed on their lives is not merely a destination, but a process that involves not just external triumphs, but deep internal transformation. Every difficulty they face, every trial they endure, is part of a greater story, a story where God is the author, and the chosen ones are the vessels through which His glory will be revealed. Their journey is not only about overcoming adversity, but also about embracing the growth that comes from it. Through every hardship, the chosen ones learn and grow. They discover strength they never knew they had, and they witness firsthand the faithfulness of God to provide and protect when all seems lost. Their growth is not just in spiritual maturity, but also in the wisdom and clarity that come when they trust God through the darkest moments. God uses each experience to mold and shape them into the warriors of faith He has destined them to be. The journey teaches them that growth is not a linear path. It involves setbacks, mistakes, and periods of waiting. But each of these moments is a stepping stone to greater fulfillment of their divine purpose. They mature not in spite of their struggles, but because of them. Purpose is another critical lesson the chosen ones come to understand as they experience God's intervention. The moment of divine intervention is a wake-up call, a reminder that their lives are not random. They are part of a larger divine plan that is unfolding in the world. Every twist and turn in their journey serves to align them with that divine purpose. When the chosen ones experience breakthrough or divine intervention, they realize that the struggles they have faced were never in vain. Every challenge, every tear, every moment of doubt served to position them for this very moment of fulfillment. Their purpose becomes clearer, more defined, and they walk forward with a sense of conviction and clarity that cannot be shaken. In fulfilling their divine calling, they realize that the power of purpose lies not in what they achieve, but in how God's will is accomplished through their lives. Faith is the cornerstone that holds everything together during times of crisis. It is in times of desperation and trial that faith becomes the lifeline that holds the chosen ones steady. The very act of calling out to God in their moments of need is an act of faith, faith that God hears them, faith that He will move, and faith that He is faithful to fulfill His promises. Divine intervention serves as a powerful reminder that faith is not just a feeling. It is a choice to trust in God's plan even when circumstances seem dire. It is in these moments that the chosen ones experience the depths of God's grace, and they learn that faith is not just a shield in the good times, but the very foundation that carries them through the storms. As the chosen ones experience the intervention of God, they come to realize that resilience is just as important as faith. Resilience is the ability to persevere even when the world tells them to quit, to keep going when the journey seems impossible. Divine intervention serves as a reminder that God does not leave His people to struggle alone. He strengthens them in ways they could never have imagined. They may feel weak in their own strength, but it is in their weakness that God's power is made perfect. Resilience is not about not feeling tired, discouraged, or afraid. It is about choosing to stand firm and trust God even when all seems lost. The chosen ones learn to persevere because they know that God has equipped them with everything they need to fulfill His purpose, no matter the obstacles in their way. Finally, God's intervention is a constant reminder of the divine plan that is uniquely designed for each individual. No matter how chaotic the world seems, no matter how dark the moments of struggle appear divine, intervention is the proof that God's hand is always guiding and directing. It is a reminder that their life is part of a grand narrative written by the Creator of the universe. The chosen ones are not accidents or afterthoughts in the divine story. They are vital to God's plan. And every moment of their journey is a purposeful step toward fulfilling that plan. When they see God's hand move in their lives, it reinforces the truth that nothing happens by chance. Their calling is sure, their purpose is eternal, and their journey is just as important to God as the destination. In summary, the lessons from divine intervention are numerous and profound. The chosen ones learn that their struggles are not in vain, that their faith is the foundation that will carry them through, and that every step of their journey is part of the greater divine plan. Through growth, purpose, faith, and resilience, they come to realize that God is always working in their lives, shaping them, refining them, and leading them toward fulfillment. Divine intervention is not just about the relief of current struggles. It is a continuous reminder that God's plan for them is unfolding, and they are exactly where they are meant to be. As we come to the end of this journey, let us take a moment to reflect on the incredible struggles the chosen ones have faced and the profound divine intervention that has carried them through. Their path has not been one of ease, but one that has been carved out by suffering perseverance and unwavering faith. From the weight of physical burdens to the emotional toll of rejection and confusion, the chosen ones have experienced it all. But in the midst of these hardships, God has not left them to fight alone. Through divine intervention, He has stepped in at just the right moment, shifting their circumstances, guiding them with His wisdom, and fortifying their hearts with His strength. Their struggles, though painful, were never in vain. They were part of a greater purpose, a purpose that would be fulfilled not through human effort alone, but through the intervention of a mighty, loving God. Divine intervention is not just a miraculous moment in time. It is the active presence of God in their lives, a reminder that God is working on their behalf even when they can't see it. It is a supernatural force that shapes their future and empowers them to fulfill the divine calling that rests on their lives. This divine intervention marks the transition from struggling for survival to thriving in purpose. The chosen ones are now living testimonies to the fact that faith, when tested, stretched, and refined, becomes the foundation of divine victory. However, this story is not just about survival, it's about transformation. The chosen ones may have once felt abandoned or lost, but now they stand as a reflection of what happens when God moves in power. They no longer see their trials as burdens, but as the very tools God used to refine them, to bring them closer to Him and to make them stronger. Their journey is a testimony to the faithfulness of God and the truth that every battle fought in His name ultimately leads to victory. When God intervenes, it is not just to rescue, it is to transform. The chosen ones are no longer defined by their struggles. They are defined by the divine victory God has given them. Their lives are now a message of hope for the world. But let this be the final message of hope. If God can intervene in the lives of the chosen ones, He can and will intervene in your life as well. Divine intervention is not reserved for a select few. It is available to all who call on God in faith. When you reach your breaking point, when your strength is spent, and the world around you feels like it's caving in, know that God is near. He hears you. He sees you. And just as He moved for the chosen ones, He will move for you. Psalm 34:18 reminds us, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When you find yourself at your lowest point, it is God's voice you need to hear, and it is His hand that will guide you through the storm. Even in the darkest moments, there is always hope. There is always hope because God is the one who holds the future. No matter how heavy the burden, no matter how impossible the challenge may seem, God's hand is never too short to reach out and lift you up. When God steps in, He doesn't just fix your problem. He changes your perspective and equips you with the tools needed to step into a new chapter of purpose and victory. Every challenge, every hardship, every tear has a purpose in the hands of God. The moment you cry out, God hears you, and He is working on your behalf in ways you cannot yet understand. Your story is not over and your victory is certain. This is your turning point. Now, as we reflect on the journey of the chosen ones, we must also understand the empowerment that comes with divine intervention. God doesn't simply intervene for the sake of easing the pain. He intervenes to empower His people, to equip them to rise from the ashes of their past struggles and fulfill their divine calling. Each of us, as chosen ones, has a purpose that stretches beyond our own lives. The victory God grants us through His intervention is not just for our benefit. It is for the benefit of those around us. We are chosen to bring light into dark places, to shine as beacons of hope for those who are still lost, still searching for the truth. Through God's intervention, we are transformed into instruments of change, bringing the hope of Jesus Christ to a hurting world. Your life has purpose. Your struggles have a purpose. Your victories have a purpose. God's divine intervention is not a random occurrence. It is a deliberate, loving act designed to help you walk in the purpose He has for you. As you experience God's intervention in your life, you become a living testimony of what faith can do. You are a reflection of the resilience that comes from trusting God, even when things seem impossible. Your life is proof that nothing is too hard for God. Just as He intervened for the chosen ones, He will intervene for you, and He will continue to lead you forward in purpose. In conclusion, God's divine intervention is the key to understanding who we truly are and what we are called to do. It is not just about relief, it is about transformation. When God moves, He doesn't just change the situation, He changes everything. Through faith, resilience, and divine intervention, we are not merely surviving, but thriving in the purpose God has given us. The chosen ones are here to bring light and change to the world, and God's intervention is the tool that equips them for the journey. You are chosen, you are equipped, and you are destined to make a difference. So stand tall, walk in faith, and trust that God's intervention is already at work in your life, leading you toward the fulfillment of your divine calling. The world is waiting for you to shine.